Hey, this is episode 7 of the Hoopfolio podcast. This episode I talked to ex-Tolka player Matt Treacy. He's now playing on the Irish national team and has transferred to NCAA Div II school Valdosta State. Matt, thanks for coming on. Just started there. How are you doing? How are you keeping?
Good. Not too bad. You know yourself. Just keeping it ticking over these days.
Cool. Well, firstly, thanks for coming on.
Absolutely.
What I always like to do is just go back to when I first met the person. So we met last summer.
Mm-hmm.
Is it last summer?
It would have been, yeah, as far as I know.
Just before we got started the season with DBSA.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah.
You came down for some summer scrimmages, is that right?
Yeah, sounds about right.
So you've done a full season since then.
I have, yeah.
In the US.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You're just back.
Yeah, I'm home about 6 weeks or so now. See this Corona stuff getting me home, so 7 weeks, I think.
And did you finish the season with your team in the US?
We did, yeah. We were lucky. We kind of went to the regional tournament and we finished up, I think it was a week or two before they started to really cancel things. So
cool.
It was lucky enough for us. We got to finish our season the way, at least on our own terms. So
you got all your games out of the way. There was no.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, we didn't lose out on anything, thankfully.
Yeah, there was some leagues, depending on where you're playing, they just kind of didn't finish the last couple of games, or if there was any postseason games, just cancelled. How do you feel about the whole thing? Obviously you've got probably preseason now, and you don't know where that. Have you been So we'll get into your teams in a minute, but
yeah.
Have you had from your next team? Have you had any contact around if preseason's been delayed because of this whole mess?
I mean, it's kind of everyone's kind of playing it by year, I suppose. It's kind of the stuff going on now, obviously, to sort accommodation and obviously your classes and stuff. So I've been doing that kind of thing. But in terms of when, it's more of a, play it by year. Kind of have to see how it develops. But with the school being in Gorgia too, I'm pretty sure they're opening up soon enough, I think, from what I hear. I mean, I'm not 100% clued into all that, but I mean, I think the general consensus is hopeful that it will continue as normal. So we'll see. Play it by ear.
Yeah, I think everyone's playing. I mean, look, literally every aspect of life is play it by ear at the moment. Nobody seems to know what's happening. So that's fair. Cool. Well, I'm trying to go back to when we met. So I remember you came into the gym, and I was pretty much didn't know who you were, but straight away I was asking, who's that guy? Because you're kind of a big guy, you could handle the ball and shoot, and I thought your skill level was pretty high. To be able to handle the ball the way you do, straight away I was like, okay, so where does he play? Who is he? And I don't know if it was Neil Lynch or someone like that. Kind of just explained you were over in the US. And then actually I went down to watch the national team play against Luxembourg, and you were playing in that game as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and you came on, you played quite well. You got a couple of key buckets, and you were. I was impressed with the fact that you were up taking shots in critical parts of the game. Is that something you kind of always did, or is that kind of a newer thing with your game?
I'd like to say it's something I always did in terms of the teams I've been on and kind of my own age group. I mean, I've played somewhat of a pivotal role in most of the teams I've been on, but obviously stepping into the senior national team this summer was a different kind of scenario, obviously with so many proven guys and so much talent that I think we played a couple of games in Slovakia, I think it was. Yeah, Slovakia before those two Luxembourg games, and I'd been playing okay. I came in, but I wasn't shooting the ball, I guess, as much as Mark and Puff wanted me to be shooting the ball. So I guess they kind of told me to go ahead and start shooting the ball more. And me personally, you don't need to tell me twice. So
I scrimmage with you. So you're not shy of a shot, which is good. But it's good that they're encouraging you, though, right? I mean, from your point of view.
Yeah. Oh, it was great. Just put confidence in me straight away, and go play your game. And all the other guys were the same. So much talent in that team. So it was a good experience to be a part of for sure.
That's cool. Yeah, and it's good to hear that they're encouraging that. I think from what I've heard about Mark, and obviously Puff's assistant coach and plays for Mark. So he's quite encouraging, and he doesn't ever like, hamper people in terms of like, it's not like he's giving you the green light, but it's like, he's not going to give out to you for taking shots if you're
not at all. I feel like all the guys would say that too. I feel like he kind of instilled a lot of confidence in the team, and everyone to utilize their own ability, and it was kind of a nice setup in that way.
Cool. Okay, interesting. So I did a little bit of research, as I was saying to you just before we started. I just saw some interesting number came up there. So you started off in St. Aidan's, right, in CBS.
I finished my last 2 years of secondary school in St. Aidan's. So I actually went somewhere else. My first 4 years I was at a school called Rossmini in Drumcondra. And then 5th year and 6th year, I was in St. Aidan's.
Okay. And did you start playing when you were in Drumcondra in the first?
I actually started playing when I was about 5 years old.
Okay.
It was complete coincidence. I mean, I don't really come from a basketball family. I guess most that started at that age was more just there was a club being set up in Tolka, and there was like an academy was being run. I think it was like a Tuesday morning or something like that, and it was just, I guess, get him up and get him out the house. Something to do for me at that age. So that's what got me started.
Okay, right. So you were with Tolka pretty much the whole way through, right?
Okay.
Okay, right. Do you think when it's all said and done, you'd like to go back to Tolka? I think they're in the national. I've just moved back, so I'm just trying to learn.
Yeah.
They're in the National League now, right?
Yeah, they are indeed. Yeah, up in the National League. They weren't when I was finishing up. I think they were. Might have been my last one of my years when I was kind of 15, 16, and then they weren't when I finished up. So it's great to see them back again. Anyway, it's kind of a good step, I guess.
Yeah, they're one of those clubs that have been around for years and have always been pretty, they've always done pretty well. They're kind of a known name, like in basketball, Tolka would be quite well known. So, when I was back, I was actually surprised to hear that they were in the National League and not the Super League. But I mean, it's with your weather, it just depends on the players you can get and the club situation at the time. But it's still a well-known club, and it's a good one to come up with. And was there any coaches there that kind of really enhanced what you did, or was it more like going to camps? Like where did you kind of think you picked up a lot of your development from?
I think I was really lucky with the coaches I had in Tolka. My first coach was Taryn Reid. He ran a lot of the academy stuff. So obviously growing up I had that, but he took a real interest in me when I was about, I think it was 16, 17 years old. I was maybe started to grow, put on some height, but I wasn't really putting on any weight, skinny. So he kind of took that aspect onto me, kind of brought me into the gym, kind of showed me what to do, and he really put me through my paces there. So that was a great help. And then one coach I do have to single out as well, my last couple of years, was Andy Matthews. Not sure if you know him. He kind of coached the Division I men's Tolka team there for, I want to say 2-3 years, maybe even 4 years. I'm not sure the exact number, but he kind of put the ball in my hands at a pretty young age on that men's platform, I guess. And I was still growing. A lot of teams wanted to put me down to like a 3-4 type spot, but we kind of kept the ball in my hands as a point guard, a primary ball handler. So that was kind of really good for my development and playing against those older, stronger guys. So that played a huge role.
Yeah, and that's interesting. You said that he allowed you to play in like point guard, I assume you're saying there. Because I guess for someone of your size, and it was something that Paul Cummins said yesterday or on Saturday when I interviewed him, that just not to necessarily just give the ball to one guy, and basically like your coach could have just taken you and put you inside and used your height to play, but instead of that he developed you as a player and saw that there was a bigger picture there, that you could handle the ball, you could shoot the ball. So it allowed you to develop those parts of your game that potentially in another club they would have stuck you inside and said, oh, you're going to be a 5 on this team. So
definitely. So it played a big impact for sure. Kind of helped my development in a big way.
Cool. Okay, that's really cool. So it says you went to St. Aidan's then, and you got some back-to-back championships there. That was pretty cool.
We had a really good setup there. We won, back-to-back All Ireland Cup championship. So that was a great achievement. Fond memories of that time.
Nice. Okay. And did you have a 68-point game? Is that true?
The 68-point game, that is true, but it wasn't with St. Aidan's. That was my first. So I had 68 in one game. I think I averaged 52 on the year at that year. But I mean, in saying that now, it was no level to the level I was playing on St. Aidan's. It was much lower league. So I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know. Say I was giving out 52 buckets, but but yeah, sure.
Still, it's just I've never don't think I've ever scored 68 points in 2 games. Never mind 1 game. So it's still a pretty good achievement. Okay, cool. So after Tolka, then when did you? At what point then? You said like at 16 that one of the coaches took you on. So at that point, you were probably kind of starting to play for the national team under 16, under 18. What?
So I actually never made my under 16 national team, and I mean, there's deservedly so. In fairness, I wasn't really ready for that yet. I was kind of still developing my game. I was still growing, and I just wasn't at that, I guess, level at that age. And then I made my under 17 Irish team, and that was obviously my first taste of international basketball. So it kind of just national team wise, it kind of went from there.
Okay, and were you in this like a similar year to like Jordan Blount? And I know Dan Healy mentioned that he potentially was on an underage team with you. Is that right?
Yeah, so we'd be 98 born. I know Jordan's 97. So I mean, I played my U17 and U18 98 born, and then when I was on the U18 Irish team, I was playing up with the under 20s team for a while, and then I dropped off that to concentrate on the under 18s. So I mean, I did get to practice a little bit with him and a couple of those high level guys, but I never played with him on a championship team. No.
Okay, how was that playing up to the under 20s then? How did you find that?
That was a big jump for me. I thought, because obviously the gap, I was obviously 17 playing on the U18 team, and then on that 20s team, I think there was Sean Flood, Charlie Coombs, I know Keane Sullivan was home, Jordan was there. Just some really high level guys, and guys who kind of proven themselves in the States and on Super League teams. And I mean, I'd been pretty much unproven to that point in terms of like that level of play, and I hadn't really been exposed to it to an extent. So playing with those guys was a good experience, and kind of like good to match myself up, I guess, with guys who had been on the stage that I wanted to get to. So it was a nice benchmark for me, I thought.
Cool. I kind of opened your eyes then to like, okay, I need to get better. I still need to get a lot better, and there's a lot of stuff I can do to get better. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so then after that, so when you played on the national team, then you played against some countries. Was there any countries in particular that you felt were super strong when you played in like in European Championships or anything like that? What teams were you most impressed with in terms of the countries you played against?
Well, really going to the European Championships, they're all impressive. I mean, anyone who's played on that stage will tell you that. You kind of get over there, and there's no let up. You're playing like a really high level country each night. Countries that stood out to me: Croatia. We played Croatia my U20 year. They were extremely talented. I know I'm not sure if he ended up going to the NBA, but there was talk of NBA scouts at the games. Pretty high level player. He was very good. We played Bulgaria my under 18 year, and they were really good. And then I think I've played Hungary twice as well. They're usually pretty talented, big teams, guard wise as well. They're kind of usually a matchup nightmare. So they're obviously some high level games too. And then senior team, Slovakia, a really high level. It's kind of 12 pros essentially. With guys that I'd known and heard of kind of growing up, coming like 9th to 10th man off the bench when they would have been like premier players, U18, U20. So I mean, things like that too kind of shows how high a level there is that are out there.
Yeah, and when you start to play those, you see those international teams. A lot of those guys are fully professional, playing every day. So they kind of the level that they're at is it's almost different to like a guy playing on the national team. Even if he's playing Super League, it's just they don't have that day in day out level of training, and they're not playing at that level every day. So it's tough sometimes for someone like that to compete with somebody who's a pro, who's playing all the time, training all the time, and that's what they do every day. It's difficult. Yeah, okay, that's interesting. So then after your St. Aidan's, what was the transition then to go to the US? How did that come about? Like, what was I don't know if you talked about this before with Hillary or whatever, but I didn't listen to it, so he didn't record it. But I'd just like to know, how did that all happen then, that you ended up going to the US? I think it was Combine, was the first place you went to?
So I went to Combine Academy to prep school in North Carolina. I think it's based about 40 minutes outside of Charlotte. So it was a real good experience. So I got there. There's kind of someone I had a connection there that I was kind of talking to probably when I was probably 17. I started to grow a bit. I was on some national teams, and then obviously a problem with a lot of players is highlights. I was looking to find highlights, I guess, growing up. My mom used to sit at the side of the gym, record my games. So I mean, I had to put them all together myself. But I had highlights put together because that's the first question, obviously, for coaches is, do you have tape? Do you have full games? That kind of thing. So trying to bridge that gap. So they were kind of recruiting me quite heavily coming into my U18 Irish team year. So from there, I went to the championships and decided that I didn't really want to spend my summer back here, I suppose, because I mean, at the time, there wasn't the same level of Super League pickup that there is now, I guess. So I didn't want to come home, revert myself, I guess, to the style of play of here when I was just at the European Championships. So I went more or less straight over to the States from the European Championships. I think I came home for a week or 10 days.
And did you have a contact? Did you have did you have a contact over that? Like, so when you say you jumped over, did you just contact the school and say, can I come over for the summer, find somewhere to stay or come early kind of thing? Is that kind of how that went?
It was kind of like a mutual kind of thing that they wanted me to do it as well. Obviously, they'd been recruiting me for a while, so they kind of understood our side of the national team setup and kind of what that entailed. So when I told them about obviously the championships, I think we're probably in mid-July sometime, and the season I think for us started in October. I think so they tried to get a lot of the guys in kind of late September. They just wanted me to come over early, so I was on their campus. Everything, I wasn't really forced to look for accommodation, which was nice, but I was on the campus, staying there, and just basically working out all day, every day. So it was good for me as well, I guess, to kind of bridge that gap, because I had never experienced American basketball like that. So to come over there and kind of have a coach's perspective on what I need to improve on and have a couple months to do that before the season start was definitely a bonus for me.
Interesting. And what was what was the first thing the coaches were saying? And were you aware of the deficiency that they called out, or not deficiency, but let's just say like the development area? Like, what was the first thing they were saying? Okay, the first thing we need to do is work on this. Was there something in particular, or was it just kind of a general?
I mean, they were definitely detailed, but to be honest, it was a bit of everything. Obviously, I knew myself I needed to get better, probably defensively, and then I needed to put on more weight. I definitely a lot heavier than I was, but obviously the American game's a kind of different level in terms of athleticism, and being obviously at that stage I was 6'6", 6'7". I just needed to just hit that kind of 200, 210 pound mark. So I was kind of trying to put on weight, lifting a lot. And then from there, just kind of developing all aspects of my game, obviously shooting off the dribble, working defensively, and I mean, pretty much everything. It was a lot of detail though, is what I remember from it. It was a lot different to what I was used to when I was back home.
Yeah, interesting. That's interesting you say about this because one of the first things you mentioned there was putting on some size, getting some strength. Because the conditioning part a lot of times comes with basketball just by playing, right? You know, condition yourself just by running up and down the court. So a lot of times your conditioning just comes by playing, and then when you get into the season, you kind of get match fit just by playing games. You can't really replicate that. But the strength side of things is something that everybody can work on. And not to bring it back to myself, but from personal experience, when I started strength training, it improved a lot of other things about what you could do, because it opens up. You're maybe 30% better at doing everything because you're stronger, and you're at the end of the game, you're not tired. You start to get more consistent even with your jump shot, things like that. What did you find then when you started? Because you said like that was something you hadn't done before. So you started strength training. Did you notice it did you feel like that was really improving you like immediately?
Yeah, I did. Obviously being here, I was kind of being 6'7". Obviously I was kind of got away with just being taller than everyone else in terms of obviously like rebounding and going to the basket and finishing at the basket. I was kind of able to just get away with being taller and being longer than everyone else. So putting on that weight, I was trying to obviously improve myself going to the basket and being able to draw contact, still finish. And then there's stuff like rebounding and boxing out. Like there's some big guys over there, really big guys. So never looks good being pushed under the basket for a rebound. So I had to focus on that and obviously put that weight on and be able to, battle in the paint as well, kind of be able to be versatile like that.
Yeah, it's true. And if someone bigger than you comes on the court, like you said, and you get switched onto a big guy and he's heavier, I mean, you could be calling for a sub pretty soon. So I think
definitely.
having the ability to be strong enough to match up with different guys means you're more versatile. You can stay on the court for longer. So it probably helps you with your minutes. Clearly.
Yeah, for sure. For me as
Not
well, it kind of. I'll go ahead. I was about to say anyway. Let me. I guess for me, it kind of let me play a couple different extra spots too. So then I was kind of primarily playing the three for the most part, and even obviously with the Tolka team, I was playing a lot of the one. But putting on that weight, I kind of was able to transition a bit to a stretch four kind of spot, and then to be able to stretch the floor from a different kind of matchup perspective, I guess, was a bonus too.
Okay, that's really cool. Okay, so then after Combine, so you did a year there, and it went pretty well there. Like you kind of found your feet, and you kind of meshed well with the team and stuff like that.
Yeah, I know. I had a great experience there. It was a real nice setup in terms of we were staying in a house. There was me, one of the coaches, and I want to say 10 of my teammates. So I mean, in terms of building relationships, like still guys I talk to literally all the time, every day.
10 guys in a house.
10 guys in one house. I mean, it was loud, it was crazy, but I feel we all loved it. We had a great time there, and I mean, we all speak fondly of those times. We had a great time in the house. So definitely a different experience, obviously, to what I was used to in terms of living, but it was a lot of fun.
That's cool. Okay, so you went to Combine. It sounds like you developed a lot there. I mean, just in terms of even stuff, something like you're developing your physicality and your. Did you work on stuff like over there, like your I don't want to call it your athleticism, but like things like plyometrics and stuff to like help with your athleticism, I suppose you'd call it, for want of a better word. Was there stuff that you were doing there for that kind of stuff?
Yeah, definitely, and that's kind of something that, I mean, when I'm here, I wouldn't say I'm the most athletic player in the world in any country, but I mean, when I'm here at the same time, like I'd be, I guess, to the higher end of athleticism to most guys, but obviously being over there, it's a whole different level. So, I mean, in terms of that, it was kind of, as well as working on your plyometrics, kind of knowing when to use it and when not to use it was also a big thing. I mean, you don't want to trying to jump over guys every time. So it's just not going to work. So, I mean, a lot of that was just kind of being able to pick your moments and things like that too was definitely a big factor for me.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Playing under control and
definitely
trying to realize when it's useful to go up and try and finish strong at the rim, and when to do a floater or something like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. Okay. So after the Combine Academy, then was the next move to junior college? Is that, have I got that right?
It actually wasn't, believe it or not. So
I've missed a step.
Up in Combine. You've missed a step. I've had a lot of steps.
Okay, cool.
So I finished up in Combine, and I actually got hurt towards the end of my Combine experience, and I ended up having surgery in May of that year, I believe. So I had surgery on both of my hips. So that kind of set me out for that summer. I didn't play with the national team at all that summer. And I was kind of at Combine I mean, I was good most of the season through, and then it was kind of by coincidence I found out about this injury and had to get surgery. So I kind of played out the rest of my season, got that surgery done in May. And then I committed to Urbana University. So it was a Division II school in Ohio. And then came in there as a freshman. And that's kind of my step in between, I suppose.
Okay, so you went to Ohio then. Okay, how did you find Ohio? Yeah, I've got a mate from Ohio. Ohio is one of these states. It's just one of these funny states. How did you find it over there? I shouldn't say that. That sounds like I'm saying something really negative.
It does. It has like, it depends on kind of what area you're in. It has like a lot of different, I guess, aspects to it.
Yeah,
I suppose
different cities.
Exactly. Yeah, it's kind of like this one city on one side is very different to the other side of the state. But I enjoyed my experience there. Obviously coming in as a freshman, I didn't really know what to expect. Obviously from American University, that was kind of my first taste of that. And obviously all through the recruiting process, I was kind of told that I was going to come in and play quite a big role straight away as a freshman, which isn't always the case. Obviously, first year guys coming into a program, so that was it's definitely a bonus for me. So I was able to come in. I think I started. I don't want to put a number on. I think I started all games with 1 or 2 that year. So it's kind of put me in a real position to be successful straight away. So it's definitely a bonus for me. But no, I definitely enjoyed my time there. And I know recently now in the past few weeks, the school was actually shut down through this corona stuff. So it's kind of sad to see. But yeah, no, I had a great year there, my freshman year anyway.
It's actually shut down like
Shut down.
yeah,
Crazy.
like wow. So
Yeah.
obviously there's like a funding thing.
Yeah, it's quite a small school. It was a small private school. Didn't have a lot of students. I mean, it had plenty of students, but not an unmanageable amount of students. So obviously, I'm not sure exactly what went down. I won't get into it, but
yeah. It just shows you what a crazy time we're in. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, crazy.
Like, I didn't expect to hear that universities were shutting down, but I suppose if they're not getting revenues in,
it's
and I suppose with people maybe not taking exams and starting in September, they don't have the tuition fees coming into them. Possibly they just wouldn't be able to fund the year or something. That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know the ins and outs of it now, but I mean, the fact that something like this would even happen is a bit unheard of. So
yeah, that's mad. Okay, so you did a year in Urbana, and then I think obviously this year coming is it Valdosta State?
Valdosta State, yeah.
Valdosta State, and that's the next stop. That's in Georgia.
It is, yeah.
It's kind of southern country. My geography is very sketchy.
Yeah, it's down. I know the school is like the border town between Georgia and Florida, so that kind of puts a location on it. So it's down very south in Georgia. Yeah.
How is your tan?
I hope it's a lot better when I get down there. But
you'll have good weather anyway.
I'll be watching sun cream on every day, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, good Irish skin. You don't look as pale as I do, so I think you should be all right. Okay, cool. So are you like, how do you feel about that now? So that's going to be like another, like a Division II NCAA school, is that right?
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of like to me, it would be a more high-end, I guess, Division II school than I was at first place. I mean, the initial thing going in is we're going to try win a national championship, kind of a different mindset, I suppose, to what I've been used to. They've won their conference, I think, hope I get this right, I think it's the last 4 years. They've run it 4 years straight now. It might be 4, I think it's 4. So, I mean, it's kind of a good level to be coming in at. So I'm looking forward to that, definitely.
So there'll be some expectation there that you guys are going to like potentially win hopefully win a conference again the next season coming. And then, obviously then from there you go to the tournament, something like that. That's the plan. Obviously, that's the plan. That's the dream. That's the
plan,
yeah. Cool. Okay. So, and are you going to be, did they kind of talk to you about your role there? Like, do you know what position potentially you would be playing there? Similar position to the last team?
What I kind of liked about this spot is they kind of really valued my versatility. They've kind of shown, I guess, in recent years that they've allowed guys to play, a lot of different spots. They've kind of wanted me to play a more perimeter role, I guess. But at the same time, I'm happy to play pretty much any position at this stage. So, I mean, and they're kind of happy with that too, that I can kind of step in where wherever I'm going to be most effective and just kind of exploit mismatches and, play for my strengths. So that's something I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, actually, I watched you in the game against Luxembourg, and you did get the ball inside a few times. Is there something that because in the scrimmage you played outside and you kind of shot and handled the ball, which is, as I say, for a guy your size, is it just makes it, I'd say for like a Div II team or something like that, they would be just loving the fact that you can handle the ball and shoot at your size. So was there a point at which in the last university you played some 4 and that you kind of like ended up working on some more inside stuff, back to the basket or even face up? Is that something you kind of have developed?
Yeah, so I guess with my junior college team, our coach kind of leans towards a more traditional four-man, I would say, in that sense, in terms of, how his style was and how he wanted to play. So, I mean, a lot of there wasn't as much of a forward aspect, I guess, of what I was used to. So it was a lot more, catching the ball in the post and working from there. So I guess, it's something I'm definitely looking to develop on more. Like I said, I mean, it's not something I think I've shown very much. I feel like my post game's a lot better than I feel like a lot of people would kind of realize, I suppose, at this stage. But I get at the same time, it's got to keep working on everything and try to find strengths and things like that. So if I can develop that even more, kind of get that mismatch inside as well as the outside, it'd kind of be dangerous for me, I think.
Yeah, well, it makes you more difficult to guard for sure, because you can catch it in multiple places. Whereas if you're if you're catching and shooting, or even just shooting off the dribble, it doesn't make you one-dimensional, but like, you know what I mean? It gives you that extra.
Adds another aspect. Yeah,
another aspect just makes you that bit harder to guard, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
So interesting. Okay, so then that's your next move. So what's your aspirations beyond there? Is there an aspiration to? I mean, you might not have even thought about this yet, but I'm assuming it's at some point, you know, you're going to be finishing up at university. Because you've been on the senior men's team, there's some guys there, like Jordan, I know, is looking to go and play professionally. Is that something you're considering, or is it more like, I actually don't want to do that and I want to go like do a postgraduate or maybe something like that? Have you thought about that yet?
And that's definitely something I'm kind of looking to do, is kind of go into the pro side of it. It's kind of great at the moment as well, with so many guys kind of leaning in that direction, to have that kind of, you know, people coming ahead of you. It's kind of something to look at, and, you know, good advice coming down. But yeah, no, that's definitely something I plan to do once I finish up in college.
And I suppose at this point, I mean, I think most of the way it works is like, you're going to take whatever's out there, and you're going to try and get an agent to do it more like a formalized route, or
I mean, at the moment, that's kind of, I guess, what I'd lean towards. Obviously haven't thought about it too much of an extent. Obviously, I have 2 years left, but yeah, it's kind of the path I guess most seem to take. And I know the school I'm going to now have kind of sent quite a few players pro in the last couple of years, and that's the route they've taken too. So coming into, I guess, to a school that kind of has done that and sent guys overseas and stuff like that is a bonus. They obviously know the ins and outs and the ages and stuff. So yeah, it's definitely something I'm looking to do, and hopefully get the opportunity to do.
Cool. Well, I wish you the best of luck with that
anyway.
When it does arrive, I'm sure you'll do very well. So there was one question I have here that I was thinking about just before we started talking, and it was, as somebody who's still in it, you're still in your journey. Like some of the guys I talked to, I don't want to say Jason's finished. Jason Killeen, for example, he's still got another few years. But
he's got plenty left in him.
He's probably got another 4 years in the tank easily. But you're still in the midst of your journey. I suppose Jordan was too. He is too, very much so as well. He's kind of finishing up his college career. He's finished his college career, and he's moving on. Is there something that you know, again, if you had to come back and talk to your coaches, that you kind of, now that you've played at a higher level, and you know, it's undeniably you're playing at a higher level over there, and you're playing around better coaching and just a better level of basketball. Is there something that you kind of wished your coaches could have got to you earlier with, that could have helped you develop, you know, in certain ways, or is there things you're like, you look back at the game that's happening over here, you know, that you say, God, this should really be taught back here, like this is completely missed? Like, is there some stuff, anything, like 1 or 2 points that like you're like, these two things just don't happen, or didn't happen, they really should be happening, you know? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah,
because there was some aha moments for me when I played at a higher level, and I really was like, I'll give you an example. Like just when people practice, you know, the way that people practice when they're playing at an amateur level. This might not be in Ireland, but it could be anywhere. Is the way that they practice, and if you get younger players to practice with a little bit of structure versus just like, you know, throwing the ball out and kind of taking like, you know, fadeaways or with whatever way they practice. I found that at a professional level, at least, I don't know about, can't speak for college because I didn't do that, but they were much more structured in the way they practiced.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah,
for us in the States, a big thing that kind of changed for me when I got over there was kind of the length of our practices. It was kind of like a lot longer, and you kind of stay focused for a lot longer. But at the same time, I'd say it was kind of intensity would be something I'd say is a difference between like a college level practice and I suppose practice here now. At the same time, I'm sure I only had my own experiences. There might be a lot of teams out there practicing to a extremely high intensity level, but that was kind of one thing I kind of noticed was a little different. And also intensity, kind of competitiveness in practice, I suppose. You know, you're kind of expected to try and win every drill, every sprint, every suicide, like small things like that. Would be something that I kind of found was slightly different. And then at the same time too, I think something that as well that was quite different was the amount of kind of sets that we ran compared to being back here and kind of that expectancy to learn. So that was kind of, I guess, something off the floor, I'd say, that was very different. I know my first year in Urbana, we were more or less given like, to me, it seemed like a football playbook. And it was like, here you go, learn the plays. And, you know,
and they didn't take you through them. They just gave you the.
Oh no,
actual...
we went through them, but
okay.
it wasn't we'll go through them 40 times because Matt hasn't figured out this aspect. It was we go through them a couple times and you learn them. You know what I mean? So I mean, in terms of that, it was kind of something I wasn't used to too. So you run your sets back here, but you run emotion and you have a couple other quick hitters. But like we had a lot of plays. So I know there was times us and the freshmen used to get together and literally just study plays. We'd be in study hall learning our plays and things like that. So stuff like that kind of took a big toll on me, I guess, coming in. It was kind of like a different aspect of basketball, I suppose.
Yeah, the kind of mental aspect of it becomes much more important, and being able to know the plays and go out and execute them. And did you feel like, I mean, it depends. It obviously depends on the style of the team. Like, so did you feel like the style of basketball was more structured in the way you played? So there was more like ball movement, and then obviously this can depend on each team, obviously. But so you might have had a unique experience. But did you feel like the teams you played for were quite structured, or did you feel like they was kind of letting you just ball out? You know,
it was. I felt like it was quite structured, but to an extent, it was more structured to get, I guess, certain people the ball in different situations, and then from there it was kind of go ahead and play. So I mean, we kind of had one of our seniors, my freshman year, a really good player. So it was kind of like making sure we got him in his right spots, shooters, getting them in the right spots, getting them open opportunities. And then obviously for me, it was trying to find me on, you know, closeout situations or, you know, just spotted up on the 3-point line, different things like that. So I mean, I guess it was more focused on when to get what player the ball. In terms of more here, it's kind of like you play team basketball, the ball shared around, but it's a different type of mindset, I suppose. Like we'd come down the court, run the play, and we'd know, okay, he's meant to get the ball in this type of area. You know, this is I suppose, the initial setup of the play. So that was obviously a little different too. But then at the same time too, when it breaks down, it's very ball screen oriented. You know, high pick and roll, get your best ball handler coming off, shoot or spot up, and you know, let's try and make something happen.
Yeah,
a lot of that too. So.
Yeah, no, that's interesting that you said that, because that's something I found as well. It was again, just different setup with pro, but we generally had a first option on the play. So the ball, the play was being run to get someone the ball, and it was generally the mismatch or the American that we had inside that we felt had an advantage on his player. And then you'd have a second option where you might have the guard that feeds the ball in, and then if he's not got anything on, then it's a pick and roll situation or something like that. There was always like a first and second option. So you kind of knew coming down the court, like you're saying, that if you're on the other side of the court, you're either getting a kick out or it's those people getting the ball, versus like you say in Ireland, I mean, they'll run a play. And again, I'm generalizing here. This isn't the way
all clubs run it differently, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But you do see sometimes that they just run the play and whoever gets the ball gets the shot, which is one way to do it. But certainly the way I've seen it is you try and run the play to the person to get the mismatch. It tends to be a better way to work it, but yeah.
At the same time, I don't want to say that like it's an advantage. I think there's kind of a real advantage to kind of Irish European sense that like you learn how to play and read the defender. So I mean, that was kind of something that I took away from being in the States at the moment, that I guess to an extent they don't read the game the same that a lot of European guys would tend to read the game, in terms of, you know, playing like such a motion offense, like a 5-out oriented offense, that like they know how to read defenders, read defenses. And I guess it's kind of a different kind of setup, because a lot of players are just told to, you know, drill the play into you, and you're getting it to your first option. I guess guys don't read the game, I guess, in the same way in some senses.
Yeah, that's interesting actually. Yeah. It's a fair point.
Both have their positives and negatives for sure.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. Okay, I've got some. So I asked you what next. I got a couple of just. I always put a few questions in that I just wrote out. So, who, when you were younger, did you watch Irish basketball when you were like in Tolka, 6 and 7? Who was somebody that you maybe like watched and were impressed with, or won't say looked up to, because I mean you might not have looked up to them, but like you
Mm-hmm.
were impressed with? Like, was there one or two players in the league that you were impressed with?
There was, but I think for me, when I started really focusing on watching basketball, I was kind of more focused on guys that were kind of doing what I wanted to do, I guess. So it's guys like Charlie Coombs. I used to work out a lot with him. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. He kind of was playing. He was kind of going up to the States. He was with Vincent's first, but everyone kind of, he used to come back and play at camps. I kind of used to watch him and try to emulate parts of his game. And then say Isaac Westbrooks too. Not like
Isaac.
I play like Isaac in too much of a sense, but I mean, I got a chance to practice with him for a year up in Sword, so that was a good experience. Super smart, kind of taught me a lot of like little tricks and just how to play smarter. So that was good for me too.
And that helped you develop like the stuff that Isaac taught you, for example.
I think so. Yeah, I think especially Charlie, because I really had no insight, I guess, to the difference between the Irish style of basketball and the American style of basketball. And I guess he was over there. He's coming home for the summer. I used to work out with him quite a bit, just kind of one-on-one, and different guys would come in and out. Andy McGee used to come in too. So it was just kind of that type of thing, trying to bridge the gap of what I needed to know and be prepared for going over. Played a big factor for me.
That's great that older guys are mentoring you as well, just because like to see that there was guys willing to just give up their time, because obviously they knew you had some potential, so they kind of invested that and gave back, which is nice.
And I'd say that like the community, I guess, of guys over there at the moment is quite obviously small, so I feel like a lot of us are in contact. Like I talk to the guys like Jordan, John, Sean Jenkins, Ryan Leonard, all those guys quite often. I guess like the community of basketball is so small that like if someone is trying to get to that stage, there's always questions to be asked, and I feel like it's quite a friendly and everyone's trying to push each other forward. So I guess in that sense, it's we're lucky to have that kind of in basketball Ireland at the moment, that everyone's kind of trying to push each other forward. So yeah, it's definitely a positive.
That's cool. And it's kind of like a little support network. Like you can all kind of support each other, and then you're all in the same situation, so you kind of know how each other feels about your experiences or whatever. That's good.
Yeah, that's definitely a positive.
That's cool. Okay. So what do you consider like your growth areas next? Like, is there a part of your game? Because I said, I've watched some of the guys I've interviewed. I haven't seen them play a lot. I've just seen you play a bit. Is there any areas you're like, this is a bit I'm working on now? Or because I saw you doing some stuff with Hillary, like you're just working on their handles. You've already got a pretty good handle, so no more handles. No, I'm just kidding. no. Obviously, you're going to develop every part of your game. But is there any part you're kind of in your head? You're like, this is next, or have you thought about that kind of thing for the?
One for me, which is kind of, I guess it's a little different than what you'd expect here, but probably consistency for me is something I kind of want to improve on. Obviously, coming into my freshman year, I had a lot of high scoring games. And then I'd have some games, that I wasn't really finding my spots as well. And I guess it was obviously being a young guy in a college program was obviously a different kind of experience. But for me, consistency is a big thing. And being able to consistently find my spots, find my range, and just produce, at the same level all the time instead of having these crazy ups and downs. And I think consistency is something for me, I guess, coming through the last few years of college is something I'm definitely trying to improve on the last few years.
And consistency in terms of like your scoring, your shooting, like just whatever that is, just
everything.
Numbers,
to be honest, just numbers in general. Obviously, stats come into it quite a bit. Not to concentrate on stats, but I guess there's some games that have 20-something points, 10 rebounds, and you're having 7 points, 3 rebounds. Just trying to bridge that gap, I guess, to make your your worst games better. Trying to bring yourself up and stay more consistent.
Yeah, and you're right to say don't focus on stats, but it's the only way you can kind of measure things. So you kind of have to go with them sometimes, I suppose, as a means to kind of an indicator to see like, am I actually performing as well every night? It's the best way to measure.
It's hard not to get. It's not something you want to get overly caught up in, but then obviously the States are so stat focused compared to over here. So I mean, it's kind of something that's hard. Not it shouldn't be, but it's hard not to keep your eye on them.
Hard to get away from it, because
very hard to get away from it. And then your coach coming in the next day, you only had 4 rebounds, but like it's there's more to the game than the number on the sheet. It's hard to get away from them.
Yeah, like things like deflections, effort, all that kind of stuff. Exactly, a lot of that stuff doesn't get picked up, but people see that. But yeah, that's interesting. Okay, that's a really good thing in my opinion, as an older player, that I think you should be working on consistencies, because I think that's ultimately what makes you a really great player every night that you go out, is to be able to do that.
Exactly,
the same thing every night. Okay, that's really good. Okay, got 2 random questions here that I haven't asked people these before. They're totally non-basketball related. What's your favorite trash food to eat?
Oh, that's a good question.
I'm going to guess. Can I guess?
Yeah, go ahead and guess.
You look like you're a pizza guy. I don't know why. I could be wrong.
No, I do enjoy good pizza. My go-to, especially when in the States, is probably Chick-fil-A. Not sure if you've had it. Big fan of Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A,
it's like a fast food, kind of like fried chicken kind of place, yeah.
Oh, fried chicken, yeah.
Yeah, fairly popular over there, but that would be my go-to fast food place, I suppose.
Okay, fried chicken. Good answer.
Chick-fil-A, can't recommend it enough.
Okay, right. Oh, next one. This is another random one. Unusual hobbies. Nothing too weird, obviously.
Hobby. Through quarantine, I've tried to pick the guitar up again. Not to say I'm good now. I don't want to put it in people's heads that I'm out here, being good at guitar. But I used to play when I was a little bit when I was younger. I tried to pick it up again. Not to any great degree of success, but it's something I'm taking away at anyway during the quarantine.
All right, yeah, it's just funny because Paul Cummins plays. I actually play as well.
Oh yeah,
yeah, it's great. I find it very therapeutic. But okay, so have you kind of got to a point where like do you just play for yourself kind of thing, or do you get lessons?
No, I don't even get. I did get lessons when I was younger, but I'm more just kind of nothing else to do, to be honest. Sitting around the house, so it's something to pick up and kill a bit of time with, just mess around with, nothing too serious.
Cool. Okay, well, listen, we're going 45 minutes. I've got through everything. I really want to hear how things are going to go for you next season, assuming we all make it through COVID-19.
Of course.
We will. But yeah, no, I'd love you to come back on at the end of like next season or something like that and just say how you get on. It's I just haven't seen you play. I was very impressed. So
yeah, definitely.
I'm excited to see how you're going to do and then see where you go on to from there. So yeah, really appreciate you coming on, buddy.
Absolutely, anytime.
And hopefully we'll maybe even get a scrimmage before you leave. But
that'd be ideal, wouldn't it? Hopefully.
Fingers crossed. All right.
That's it.
Cheers
Absolutely.
for coming on, Matt. All right. Appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah.